You know how it is. You promise yourself you'll only spend 10 minutes browsing the internet before going to bed. Then, you accidentally fall into some strange rabbit hole that leads you to the darkest realms of the web. Maybe you've just found yourself a string of strange videos that get weirder and weirder. Or maybe you just need that weird kick of mystery to distract yourself from your otherwise dull life. Whatever the case, as you stare at the time, you realize it's 3 a.m. You need to go to bed, because work starts in the morning. But the damn internet is just too fascinating. Well, at least that's a perfect description of my life. And by the looks of it, this is how I'm going to die. Before I go fading into the obscurity of history, let me tell you what happened. At the very least, my last day of life was a weekend. Work wasn't going to call me in the morning, nor did I have a girlfriend to spend time with. Heck, I hardly had any friends at all. And my family? They had long since stopped caring. By all means, I was an outcast. And I didn't really mind, if I'm perfectly honest. I had been looking over bizarre conspiracy theories that were claiming Area 51 was a decoy, and that the real aliens were actually in charge of the world's leading governments. It was fun. It was harmless. At least, that's what I thought before I found a website that had a little more than a dark background with a title at the top. Don't look was all it read. Obviously, my first instinct was to look. It wasn't that I expected anything malicious, but I certainly hoped for some kind of jump scare to wake my drowsy mind. I'd always loved horror, meaning unexpected screams, pop-ups, or just generic loud noises were my jam. But there's no such thing to be seen or heard. All I had in front of me was a black screen. Then I tried to inspect the page to check if there's a GIF or a video loaded. To my surprise, there was nothing. The page was literally just a black screen with a title, at least based on the code and image properties. I was just about to close my browser and finally get some much needed sleep, but as I moved my cursor to the end, my weird internet session, I could have sworn I heard a whisper. "Don't," a weak, quiet voice said. My eyes fixated on the screen once more, and for the first time I could finally see something beyond the darkness. In the center of my screen, just below the title, I saw what could only be the silhouette of a human. They appeared to be standing in a long, dark hallway that got progressively more clear the longer I stared at it. But how did it speak? I looked for any play button, wanting to process the absurdity of my situation. I took my eyes off to check the volume to see if it had somehow been switched off. Then, as I looked back at the silhouette, I noticed it had moved ever so slightly forward. "Wait for me," the same voice called out. Still, it sounded broken, inhuman, unnatural. The walls of the hallway were starting to clear up in the darkness. They seemed oddly wet, with a black liquid trickling down the surface, forming a pool on the floor. As I studied the details, I noticed the silhouette moved even closer. "Stay," was all it said that time. By then, I had started to feel nervous for a jump scare. It wasn't even that great, but something just felt wrong about the entire situation. I moved to close the browser, but despite how many times I clicked on the exit, nothing would happen. And then I tried to force quit the application, but the task manager wouldn't even open. No matter what I tried, it would not shut off. So, I was left with only one choice: to force shut down the entire computer. I tried to turn around in my chair to reach the power button, but I couldn't move. For whatever reason, I could not take my eyes off the screen. I was frozen in place, only able to maneuver in my absolute closest vicinity. All the while, the figure on the screen grew closer. "You're late," it said. What the hell is happening? I asked as adrenaline started to flush through my veins. The picture was getting clearer, showing how immensely long the hallways reached. But that wasn't all. Despite how impossible it was, the hallway appeared not only as a picture, but as a real place, extending deep into the void beyond my computer screen. "Don't look." The title still read. I tried to close my eyes, but I couldn't keep them shut no matter how hard I tried. All I could do was briefly blink, and once I did, the title finally changed. "Why did you look?" it read. "Please stop, let me go." I pleaded and begged, but I could not physically move out of my chair. The silhouette was moving closer. I could just start to make out its features. It was a man, sickly thin, clothed in little more than pointless rags. His ribs protruded out through his chest. His arms hung limply at his side, unnaturally long and spindly. His legs were the same, moving akin to a marionette doll, attached to invisible strings. He took a step forward towards the screen. That was the first time I'd actually seen him move while keeping my eyes on him. It absolutely terrified me. "What do you want from me?" I screamed. His face was still shrouded in darkness, but the closer he got, the more I realized that he was no living being. His skin had slotted off, and parts of his internal organs were visibly clear. "Just let me go," I begged. But he didn't respond. He just walked closer and closer, each step freezing me more in place. I could just barely turn my head to the side, at which point I realized the walls of my room were beginning to change. The same black liquid I'd seen in the picture started trickling down, and once the blue wallpaper turned dirty and worn out, it peeled off the walls, forming flakes of ash descending onto the ground. The figure was standing right in front of me then. It reached out an arm, leaping through the computer screen, touching me in my chest. No sooner had its palm hit my body before I felt a shock surge through me. A few seconds lasted as agony overtook my every thought. I knew then and there that my heart stopped. I was dead. Yet, my mind refused to turn off. It wasn't until I'd begun to accept my fate that I realized my surroundings had changed entirely. I had moved through a hole in reality, landing in the realm of the dead. My heart still wasn't beating, nor could I breathe. I just existed in the darkness. I looked around to find narrow walls of infinitely long hallways. At my feet lay a puddle of the dark liquid that trickled down my walls. I'd been trapped in the image forced upon my computer screen, taken the place of the horrid being within. The last thing I ever heard anyone speak as I left to suffer for all eternity were a few simple words of gratitude. Thank you. To the rest of humanity, I am dead. But despite all that, I still have some contact with the outside world. Every now and then, someone will open the same website, staring into the empty black screen. Unfortunately, they aren't as curious as I once was. They see the darkness and quit away before it's too late. But I know one day, someone's stare will linger just long enough. It doesn't even have to be on the same website. I found a way to access different places. If anyone sees this, I'll be able to latch on. And just like the creature that lured me in, I'll be free once again. I just hope my body doesn't decay too much before I see the real world again. But I've kept your attention this long, so maybe you should just keep staring.
Look.
Thank you guys for watching so much. I am NexusNeuk. If you guys enjoyed the story, give this video a like. I will leave the link to the story in the description below. I'd also like to promote my Patreon. If you guys want to support me and what I do here on YouTube, go down to my Patreon and give me $1. And also check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/NexusNeuk. I try to stream once every 2 weeks. Sometimes I usually stream on Fridays. Hopefully you guys, I'd love for you guys to come and join me. I do retro game streams, so I play like Super Mario World, Super Mario Bros, anything older than before I was born, so that's quite a bit. Thank you guys so much for watching. NexusNeuk, signing off.